what the big deal about Cracker Jack is. Did you ever go and buy a pack of Cracker Jack thinking you're going to get a prize and find no prize in the box?
You got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me.
Freehand is beating his net at the plate. Crawford is over there watching. Good see, sir. You're in the wrong seat, buddy. Come on. Oh, I must be in the front row.
Hey, how's everyone doing out there? Welcome to the Word Home Media presentation of Enemy of My Enemy. I am the one and only Pete.
I'm merely Ryan. Pete is a lifelong White Sox and more recently Brewers fan. I am a Tigers and Cubs fan. We are two old friends who absolutely hate each other's baseball teams, but that makes us enemy of my enemy. You can find us at enemyball.com and on social media at enemyball. This is episode 184. We are about 2-3 weeks into the season now. Quite a bit different outlook for our teams after the first episode, after week 1 or so. You had a big debut by Noah Schultz last night for the White Sox. You've got other things you'd like to talk about with your Sox there. The Pope is top of mind always on the South Side these days. More Pope talk.
I mean, the Pope's in the news. The Pope is
everywhere.
The Pope is everywhere.
The Pope is dope. We're going to continue our comparison for our Rookie of the Year candidates, or our predictions for Rookie of the Year. Yours was Mooney Murakami, and mine was Kevin McGonigle. Mooney had a slight lead after week 1. That might not be the case after week, whatever we're calling this, 2 or 3. But the big news for the Tigers and Kevin McGonigle is he signed this morning, an 8-year extension worth $150 million, which seems like a new trend in baseball, but it is old. And that was started by your very own Rick Hahn. So I think we want to make some comparisons to that. We did that a little bit last week with what's going on with the Cubs too.
I mean, it makes sense that other teams are doing it because it really worked out well for him.
Yes, the wrath of Han. Your Brewers, I don't know if they've won a game since we last.
I think they won one, right? They were 7-2. Yeah, they won one.
I think they've lost.
They lost the last week, basically.
Yeah, but they've got fancy new Nike City Connect uniforms, just like half the league does. All of a sudden, another set of those. We'll break that one down. Cubs have struggled, of course, so we got to talk about their I'm calling it their offensive offense. PCA is chief amongst those. We'll break down his numbers a little bit.
Didn't he just get a big contract?
Yeah, that kind of ties in nicely with the larger conversation we're going to have tonight. And of course, Kate Horton is out for the season, just as we predicted, with the ominous wrist and leading to forearm tightness that, of course, leads to elbow surgery, unfortunately. So I guess with that, we might as well go ahead and jump into the news.
Yeah, so the Sox, put a stick in the ground, I guess. Chris Getz did and said, hey, we're calling up our number 1 pitching prospect, Noah Schultz.
Giant prospect. He is 6'10".
And Chris Getz alluded, now we know his information isn't always spot on, because I have yet to
see a switch hitter is the question.
I have yet to see Acuna bat from the opposite side of the plate this year.
Okay.
But he said Schultz may not be done growing yet. So that was
Jesus. Is he left-handed or right-handed?
He is a lefty.
Okay, so he's the next Randy Johnson, clearly.
Yeah, well,
unless he's right-handed.
Yeah, no, he is a lefty.
Okay, we've confirmed.
Age 22, 6'10", out of local Southwest Burb, Oswego.
Nice.
East, was it, I believe, or West?
He's like a top 50 overall MLB prospect.
Yeah,
not
46.
Yeah.
Number 1 for us, which is weird because, but then I just digress for a second but our higher ranked.
That should be the name of this podcast, by the way.
I digress for a minute. The higher ranked prospect is not Colson Montgomery, but Brandon Montgomery, who's number 33 or 26 or something like that on the Hot 100 on the top 100 list. But he's not ranked number 1 in our organization.
Maybe it could be different lists, or they're ranking your top pitching prospect versus your top batting prospect. lots of ways to parse that probably.
Either way, but to say he had first inning jitters is an understatement. Over 30
rough.
pitches, 3 runs. One of them included a bad decision on his part to wildly throw home.
Oh, he did get a strikeout though, but that didn't lead to your prediction of 9 or my prediction of 27 strikeouts.
Smitty was a little more gung ho about his. He did almost a old.
I was just surprised how what a small number you were predicting. Usually you go so over the top with your predictions. It's ridiculous, especially with your White Sox. So
I guess
if
you say so. I think you're over the top with your predictions on your teams based on
it has nothing to do with me.
But
you can change the subject all you'd like.
I will say someone is equally over the top. But anyway, 4 strikeouts he ended the game with. He actually went 4 1/3, which I didn't think he was going to go more than 3. So he got his legs. He got his.
Oh, so that's where the 9 strikeouts comes from in 3 innings. I get it now.
Yeah. He strikes. He has 3 immaculate.
We're on the same page.
Yeah, he has 3 immaculate innings. No, I meant I should clarify that. After the first inning, I didn't think he was going to go more than 3.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I thought he would go 5 in his debut. He went 4 1/3. He looked a lot better after that first inning. But he definitely had some control problems, missing really wide on the inside of the plate. And I'm also not 100% sure on the game that was being called by Caro or the White Sox bench. I felt like they were a little predictable. They didn't move his pitches around a lot, or maybe they did and he was missing the spots that much. I don't know. But there were some obvious things that seemed available for him to throw a ball, like say after he throws 4 pitches to the inside corner and has 2 strikes, then throw something to the outside corner and have them miss in the zone. Like it's like a no-brainer. It's just pitching 101, and that just didn't happen. Again, I'm not saying he didn't miss his spot, but it seemed like some of the pitch selection was questionable at best. But it was an exciting time. I could understand his jitters. They had like the whole high school team was there. From Oswego, and like his family was there, and there were not a lot of people at the ballpark. One of the funniest fucking things was they obviously moved everyone, went downstairs because there was a pan out around the 6th inning or so, and I saw 2 people in the upper deck, literally 2 bodies I could count in the upper deck. So, but I wonder if he wasn't pitching, how awful it would have looked on a beautiful, warm. I mean, weather was a little iffy early, but it turned out to be a really warm, gorgeous night here in Chicago, but it's exciting. The thing that is questionable is like they didn't really indicate. They've been kind of Getz has been dancing on how long he will actually be up. So part of it is Shane Smith was sent down to work out some of his issues. Despite having 8 strikeouts in his last game, he only went 3 1/3. So part of it seemed like he was back on track, but not fully. So he's down there working out kinks. So
I'm surprised Schultz, they wouldn't give like a full, like if he's up, he's up. I mean,
yeah, so I agree with that.
That's interesting. Huh.
But we'll see how he performs. Maybe it will be like he's up, then he goes back down to work on issues, or they send him to Arizona or something like they did with Colson Montgomery. And we know what happens. We know what happens when you come back from fucking Arizona. You're a world beater.
They might have to send them all back right now. Then.
But yeah, so it was exciting. It wasn't really the debut I had hoped for, but it was still exciting to see. And there's rumors of other prospects being called up shortly, so we'll see. I mean, the biggest problem for the White Sox, and I think with all of our team, a lot of our teams right now, I should say, is they're consistently inconsistent. 1 minute they're scoring 6 to 8 runs a game, and then the next minute, in the split series against Kansas City, after the first 3 games, the total runs scored by both teams in that series was 6. The Sox won the first game 2-0, which is news because they broke a streak. They hadn't won a game in Kauffman since April of 2024. So when they won that first game of the series, they broke a 2-year drought there. So that's somewhat exciting. But then KC won the next 2 games, 2-0. But then the next game, the Sox win 6-5. So it's like, it's just like this inconsistency that, you get that with a younger team, and the Sox are a very young team, but it's been a little bit frustrating.
Do you think with that and the Schultz question we just had, do you think that Getz is kind of looking at this season as a developmental year for everybody? It's not really a year that's about necessarily winning at the major league level. It's about developing those pitchers, keeping them healthy. I've heard speculation about that, and it seems like it just made me think when you mentioned that about Schultz, not necessarily being up for good. I don't know. It just sounds like this is all about getting better for the future, not necessarily winning this year.
Yeah, I think
I didn't feel that way going into this season, but I'm feeling that now. But
yeah, and I think we're seeing part of it with Grant Taylor has been the opener.
Yeah, that weirdness
is super fucking successful. But
is it sustainable?
But part of it is because he's always expressed that he wants to be a starter. So again, I think this is, to your point. I actually thought. I'm not counting them out in the AL Central right now because it's turned upside down, and that division looks like it's just going to be basically up for grabs. But I think that speculation isn't wrong.
You're not just going to throw it out, at least.
But at the same time, I think there's optimism that development, and they have the talent to where the development can also lead to winning. So I don't know. We'll see. It's high risk, high reward, I guess is a way to say it. But it's also there's you're putting a lot on the table, and I think we saw it with the fact too. To your point about development years, they traded Lenny Sosa, where he could be a person who was starting every day, being the guy who hit the most home runs on the team last year.
He hit the most home runs and the most RBI. I mean, he's definitely your best offensive player last year. So I was shocked by that news.
But they traded him to Tampa Bay for someone that I later found out in articles why they got Jordan Rich is he was actually on the Sox draft list. That was someone they were targeting that they didn't get. And they're looking at like Lenny Sosa as expendable because he's not really part of the future of the team. Yeah. And yet again, it's just another purging of a prospect that the prior organization brought into the system. So
he also didn't have a solid defensive position to play.
And he was not solid defensively either.
Yeah, wherever they did put him.
And there's been a lot of talk that Getz is prioritizing defense for this team. Something
got to prioritize something because I think you're last in almost every offensive category in the league. I think they're at least earlier in the week you were 30th in runs, OPS, RBI. Of course, that's early, but defense would make sense to turn towards.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought. I didn't think that was the end of your statement. That's why I remain silent. You got to turn towards something if you're 30th in every offensive category. So, in really big news, though, the Pope.
The fucking Pope.
August 11th.
The Pope is back. We can't stop talking about the Pope. It's basically, it's not every episode, but I'd say every other episode, we have to bring up the Pope somehow.
I mean, August 11th is going to be a big day for me because I'm going to be walking around town with some new fucking swag. You're going to see it. If you watch us on YouTube, you're going to see it on this podcast.
Did you buy your ticket already? You better if you haven't.
I should get my ticket. Coming fresh off Easter, I'm sure those tickets were hot.
Well, there's a story around that. The White Sox announced they were going to have, it wasn't a giveaway originally, but it was going to be a Pope hat ticket package. Like it was limited to like 150 or maybe 1,500 tickets.
Oh, yeah, that's what they do. Like you can sometimes get bobbleheads that way too. The first
Yeah.
1,500 people get the bobblehead if they buy tickets to that game.
Certain tickets, I don't know where their seats are, but it went viral. So they talked to the manufacturer like, well, can we bump this up to 30,000 of these or however many they need to make? And they did. And so it's now a general giveaway. So I bet you as popular as the first 1,500 tickets were, there might be a lot more sold. You might need to get on that website tonight.
I will.
Make sure you get the Pontiff's cap.
I will. I'm going to be donning that beauty. I forgot to mention, opening day when I went. It was Easter weekend basically, and Jesus was actually at the game.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there was
I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, well, I mean, I saw the Pope. I
see the Pope there all the time.
We have pictures of me with the Pope.
Imposters?
Yeah, we have pictures of me with the actual Pope there, and
I've seen the pictures.
Yeah, it looks exactly the same as he does on TV. Except he had a beard. It was really weird. But anyway, I turn and look, and Charlie's like, "Hey, look, Dad, Jesus is here." And I'm like,
Jesus.
No. Yeah, he had the white garbs on with the red sash, and guess he had risen already to come to the Sox game.
Was there a Sox logo anywhere on his?
No.
Oh,
he had a Sox hat on, though.
Okay, so there was a Sox connection.
He's a Sox fan. Jesus is a Sox fan.
You guys are really fucking religious over there. I didn't realize.
Well, a lot of Catholics, Irish Catholics, White Sox fans. Got to go where the money is. Other news, and we talked about this a few episodes ago, or preseason.
Oh, an old eyewash.
Yeah, an old eyewash
about the White Sox.
But the Sox had made an agreement with CME, and I'm not going to look up what they are again. It was confusing to begin with. And so they got this patch on all of their jerseys, and I got to say, it is like a fucking eyesore because they really did a shit job in blending it in with the jerseys. Now, part of the struggle is the home jersey is white with stripes, right?
Yeah, the black pinstripes.
So unless you add pinstripes to the patch or actually just kind of
I forget what the patch looks like. Isn't it like a rectangle blue or blue and white or something with CME?
Yeah,
letters?
CME's, but this is the CME's like round. And what I don't understand is when I was looking at the Rays jersey last night, the logo that they have on their jerseys actually just like stitched into the jersey. It's not like a patch, right? So it looks very cohesive. So the blue of the jersey is just going through the patch. The Sox, it's obvious that this is just this gross looking patch on every jersey except the...
Oh, it's a big square.
Yeah,
I just looked it up. It's a big square with a blue globe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a bad logo.
It's
a
a bad
patch.
logo
It's just
and a worse
enormous.
patch. Yeah, and they put a blue outline around the patch on the home jersy. And it's like...
So I'm looking at a picture that shows how it appears on at least two of your jerseys. The other one I can see right here is I guess it would be your Chicago Bulls City Connect, the black and reds.
Oh, I haven't really noticed. I haven't seen it on that
yet.
It's probably
because it's a black patch with a blue globe and white CME, but they didn't put the big border around it. So it doesn't look like a big square. It just looks like the globe and CME. So it doesn't look as bad when it's on the black jersey. It looks ridiculous on the white jersey. I see exactly what you're saying. I get why they did it. They had to define the space, so that's why they had to put the black square outline around it. Yeah, it's enormous too. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's gross. It's fine on the black jersey. On the third jersey, it blends perfectly.
Did we even figure out what CME is? Is it Chicago Mercantile Exchange
or something?
Was it crypto something?
Yeah, I think it was crypto. I don't know. I remember looking it up and then I quickly forgot.
Well, that advertisement is definitely not doing its job. We still have no idea what it is.
Yeah.
Or maybe we're just idiots.
Well,
there's always that.
That's for sure. But the Sox, it's been a lot of ups and downs so far. But I remain optimistic.
I like when you write philosophic at the end of your White Sox segments.
I'm doing my best.
Positive spin on things.
I'm doing my best president imitation right now.
Oh,
I believe the Sox are going to be huge this year.
Well, we have not finished your White Sox yet because we have to get to our new favorite segment.
That's right. That's what I was about to say, but thanks for butting in, you bully.
Yeah.
Yes, we got to do Mooney versus, did we ever come up with?
McGonigle? Okay. So, yeah, we debated what this should be called. I always call it Murakami versus McGonigle, Mooney versus McGonigle, Mooney versus Mac G, Southside Samurai versus Motor City White Guy.
No, we're not
doing that? Okay. No. I think Mooney versus McGonigle is fine. Everyone's starting to know exactly who McGonigle is, so maybe he's just known by McGonigle.
Well, everyone knows who he is because he's just got overpaid. But anyway,
we'll get to that. I don't know about overpaid. We'll see.
We'll see. Time will tell.
Why don't we take a look? Last week, to recap, our first episode of Mooney versus McGonigle.
It was a draw. It was kind of like a draw.
Well, you were going to go 51-49 to Mooney.
Oh,
I thought that was too slight. I went 55-45 because
that's right.
Mooney had the 4 home runs. He had the better OPS by 100 points. I just thought he had a better week. I didn't think it was like, it wasn't like 75-25 or anything like that. I just thought he was better. I didn't think it was that necessarily all that close, but things have shifted a bit this week, and you've got all the stats over there.
Yeah. Mooney is 9 hits, 12 runs, 5 homers, 9 RBI, 787 OPS. He's got a whopping 22 strikeouts. He has 15 bases, 15 walks, including that's not in this stat. He's been intentionally walked twice.
Oh, okay.
So he actually is in second in the league with McGonigle, I think, right behind him in he's number 2 in walks. I think Aaron Judge is number 1.
I think it's kind of coming to fruition what we thought or what we had heard about Mooney in his career in Japan. He's kind of the ultimate 3 outcomes guy. I mean, he had 2 hits this week, but one of them was a home run. Yeah. He's either a home run, a walk, or a strikeout. I mean, that's what he does. And I think the White Sox knew that. I think
that's what they want from him. They told him.
I don't think that's an issue necessarily. If he hits 40 home runs, they'll be happy with whatever else has happened. And he's got 5 home runs on the year already. So, I think we should it's probably easiest if we just compare stats.
For sure.
Hits, I think, is 9. You said Mooney had 9.
Yeah, McGonigle's got 19.
Yeah, that's where they're starting to separate a little bit.
12 runs each. 1 home run for Mac G
versus 5.
Yeah, 8 RBI versus 9, but that's really a throwaway stat because you got to have guys on base for that.
Agreed.
Here's probably like this and WAR are really the differentiators. 908 OPS to 787.
That's a massive switch because Mooney was 100 points ahead of McGonigle last week, and now it's switched, 200 points basically.
Yeah, and then it's 8 Ks, 11 walks, and 1 point WAR to 0.2. So
0.2?
Yeah, 0.2. Did I say?
No, you cut out for a second.
Oh, yeah. 0.2 WAR for Mooney. So
Mooney's WAR was 0.2 last week. So it hasn't changed, where McGonigle's gone from 0.5 to 1.1. So
yeah, I mean it's obvious. It's like probably 60-40, 70-30 now to the McGonigle side.
I was gonna give a 10-point swing. So switched 50, still 55-45, but switched.
All right.
I don't want to go too much further than that in 1 week, but I guess I didn't explain at the beginning of this. We're doing this because you predicted Mooney would win the AL Rookie of the Year in our Nostradamus preseason prediction show, and I predicted McGonigle would win. So we kind of went into the season with the idea that we'd compare the two rookie phenoms, and it's been interesting so far. I mean, certainly, and they're a fun dichotomy too, because obviously Mooney's the power guy, and McGonigle's the kind of the line drive hitter that kind of does everything fairly well. So I think this is going to be fun. I think we're going to continue this for the whole season, hopefully. So what's also interesting is Kevin McGonigle has been in the news. typically when we record on Wednesdays, we record in the morning, and I'm glad we didn't, because probably an hour after we would have typically finished, it was announced that McGonigle and the Tigers reached an agreement for an extension of 8 years and $150 million. I think that's 18.75 million per year average. This is, of course, was reported by our friend Bob Nightingale, and so I don't think he had the breakdown of how it would play out through the entire the length of the contract. It's not the same amount every year. I think there was I think it was revealed later, there was a $14 million signing bonus.
Yes, with $8 million payable within the first 30 days.
Okay, I've never heard of that. Boy, that's sticking their feet to the fire right there. You got 30 days. Fucking pay me.
Where's my money, or I don't play? This
is fascinating. And I was listening to Detroit Sports Talk Radio this morning when it happened, and mostly greeted with universal praise. There was a little bit of consternation from some, and I'm glad I heard that from some, because I've always had that attitude towards these kind of contracts. You can't just say this is awesome, we're going to get them for so cheap down the road, but there is an element of risk, and we talked about that quite a bit last week after the Cubs had made similar moves with Nico Horner and PCA. But I think you and I talked briefly about this. I think you're right. This is far more comparable to the Yoan Moncada deal that the White Sox signed him to, that Rick Hahn put together. And it was kind of a bit of a novel idea back then, and I questioned it, and eventually coined the term "Wrath of Hahn" because it rhymes with Khan. Now we're trying to call this Wrath of Harris, but that doesn't really rhyme with anything, or eventually we'll talk about
makes sense, really.
Yeah, we don't know yet. I think it's interesting to compare, the top prospect, and one of the top, I'd say easily top 2 prospects in baseball at the time was Yoan Moncada.
He was number 1.
Was he number 1?
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't even a prospect at that point because he already had a breakout season, but McGonigle is the number 2 prospect in baseball, but the number 1 prospect in all of baseball, I keep forgetting his name, from the Pirates.
Cooper Pratt? Oh, no, Connor Griffin.
Connor Griffin, yes.
Yeah.
He signed a similar deal this week. So we're seeing all sorts of these deals being made across the league, and specifically with my 2 teams in the past 2 weeks. So it's very interesting to me. Rick Hahn was doing this at a time when it was fairly unprecedented. The Braves, I remember at the time, had signed Acuna Jr. to a long-term deal. I think that was like an 8-year, $100 million deal, which seemed crazy at the time. But as inflation and everything else makes that look pretty small at this point. But it did seem a little less common when Rick Hahn was doing it. So maybe he was a trailblazer, and now everyone is kind of catching up.
I mean, it would make sense since, again, the Sox won so many world championships with this formula.
It kind of has worked. I mean, it's worked for the Braves because they've won a World Series, but certainly did not work for Rick Hahn. He did a similar deal with Eloy Jimenez and Luis Robert Jr. So Rick Hahn was gambling heavily on this strategy, and it blew up in his face, and he's no longer employed by anyone that I'm aware of. So yeah, it's interesting that this trend, maybe started by Rick Hahn, is now continuing. I think there's a reason why. There's many reasons why this is happening now. But do you think that the CBA, looming labor strife, the new CBA, has anything to do with this? Like, I feel the owners are happy to be signing these deals right now because something's going on. They know what's going to be happening with the next CBA.
Yeah, but the way they're signing them, it almost seems like they know that there is going to be a baseball strike, because the immediate following season in all these deals is like $1 million. Like McGonigle next year gets $1 million.
It's kind of an insurance policy.
PCA gets like a low first year seller.
So 27 is all small on these deals. I didn't notice that. That's good for you to pick up. I didn't realize that. That makes sense. That's like an insurance policy that the player is happy to give up. for next year. What do they give a fuck? They're still getting guaranteed after that. So I've got a theory that I'm just I don't know how giant labor negotiations work, but I'm just trying to think logically how it could be working and what could be happening here. We've heard this is all about a salary cap. The owners are demanding a salary cap. The players will never agree to a salary cap. So we'll probably get a version. I don't think we're going to have a salary cap. I think we're going to have some kind of revenue control or spending control or revenue sharing. It's going to be a new landscape of sorts. But if the owners want to get something in any negotiation, you have to give up something. And I think what most likely the owners have already colluded, which is, it's an ugly word, but I think they've already decided the thing that they're going to give to the players that the players would really want is less control. Right now, teams have control over their players once they make the majors for 6 years. And we're seeing these deals are all, 7, 8 years long, or pushes well past their arbitration years in whatever case. So I think what the owners are thinking they're going to be offering to the players is they could become free agents after maybe 5 or even 4 years instead of 6 years. And that would be very appealing to the players to take, to give back whatever else, if it's not a full salary cap, whatever else would work better for the owners or whatever they're asking for. So I think that might explain why all these deals are happening to the top prospects right now. Of course, the top prospects are happy to be instant multimillionaires, have their futures secured forever. And I just think that might explain why this is all happening now, and it hadn't happened much before or since Rick Hahn, but we're seeing it now. Do you think there's any validity to my theory?
Yeah, I think there is. I think, they'll be arrogant too and saying, look what we're doing. We're on board with what you guys want to do.
Yeah.
Look at what we've done already before we even hit these negotiations.
Well, I think we talked about it briefly last week. Like average MLB salaries have reached an all-time high. Like the average salary for MLB players is $5 million something. Never been that high. So the owners can point to that they've thrown all these big deals out there. They've increased salaries over time. So yeah, I think we're going to hear all these points, of course, all through the off season. But I don't know. I wanted to put it out there that it could be one explanation of what's going on. Specifically with the Tigers, though, the Chris Ilitch, the owner of the Tigers, who inherited the team from his father, Mike, who was famous for spending above the Tigers' weight.
Oh, yeah. He liked to spend.
And that was awesome for 10 plus years when Tigers were a top 5 payroll and making the playoffs every year, going to the World Series, never fucking winning it. But that party bill came due in the late teens and early 20s, where the Tigers were just non-competitive. Unfortunately, after the death of Mike Ilitch and the takeover of the Tigers by Chris Ilitch. Since then, Chris has been fighting the legacy of his father as a free spending billionaire, with the Little Caesars empire backing him. Chris has been fighting the cheap narrative in that he never spends on the Tigers. People in Detroit at least even complain that he doesn't spend enough on the Red Wings, which is the other team they own. But the NHL has a salary cap, and you're just always at the salary cap. So saying it's cheap because the Red Wings aren't great is ridiculous, but such as sports commentary and fandom. But so I think that's part of it. The Tigers have spent a shit ton of money. They're actually bumping up against the first level of the luxury tax this year. They're over $230 million. I think they might be 240. Not exactly sure how today's news affects that number, but they're a top 10 payroll right now. So I think some of this might be, Chris just kind of fighting that legacy and fighting that narrative that he's cheap. It's just not true anymore, but that could be part of it. Another factor is the Tarek Skubal situation, and which they are currently on the opposite side of this situation. They would love to have signed I mean, how good would it look right now if the Tigers had signed Skubal to a whatever 8 year deal 8 years ago, and he'd be making $18 million this year or whatever, instead of the arbitration fight that they had where he's making 32 and sure to leave the team in his first year of free agency. So I think they're seeing the opposite side of this, how it could go bad if you don't lock up your young stars early. So those are all at least mitigating factors to why this is happening for the Tigers specifically, but globally, I think the CBA definitely has a large part to do with this. It also didn't hurt that McGonigle had his first home run the other day, but this is all happening after 61 major league at bats. It's just kind of amazing that I am nervous, as I always am with these kind of deals, and he's so young, but Christ, he's already their best hitter. I mean, he's the most dangerous hitter on the team, statistically, and like just when you see him come to the plate, he's got the most professional at bats. He's got a 2-strike approach. He's a contact hitter, which is sorely lacking across most of Major League Baseball. So it'll be fascinating. We'll see if it turns into another Wrath of Hahn situation, but for right now, Tigers fans are happy. So beyond that, my Tigers, it's kind of crazy how this season has started. They started with a 2-game winning streak, followed by a 4-game losing streak, followed by another 2-game winning streak, followed by a 5-game losing streak last week in Minnesota and at the end of the St. Louis series, followed by a 4-game winning streak as they swept the Miami Marlins and then beat Kansas City last night. So yeah, it's been a ridiculous roller coaster. Actually, McGonigle had the winning run in that game last night, so it was a fun time. That's only the 4th game they've played, or 5th game now. They played against an American League opponent. Like most of their series have been against the National League, which is really odd too. So last night, Kenley Jansen got his 479th save to move him into sole possession of 3rd place all time, past Lee Smith on the saves list behind Trevor Hoffman and Mariano Rivera. And Kenley Jansen's 38 years old, but he looks as good as he's ever has. Just throwing strikes. He's just, I'm so used to over time seeing so many Tigers closers come in or free agents come in, thinking this is going to be the solution. They just don't throw strikes. And so far, Kenley Jansen has been, and it's been very refreshing and very effective. On the negative side, of course, they got swept by Minnesota, of all teams, in Minnesota, which I think you and I both picked. I picked the White Sox to finish ahead of Minnesota in the division. But they look great so far, and they certainly did against the Tigers. Of course, Byron Buxton is who he is. He's awesome until he gets hurt, which could happen any minute now. Unfortunately, who did get hurt in that series was Parker Meadows. Did you see that collision between Meadows and Riley Green?
I did not.
Oh, man, it was bad. I was listening on the radio at the time. It was an afternoon game, so I was out for a walk. But it was an outfield collision, ball hit to the gap. Both players just running full out. And they said they hit heads. But Riley Green was not injured in the least. He didn't come out of the game or miss anything. It was Parker Meadows who clearly took the worst of it. I didn't realize it, and they did not mention this on the radio, which maybe they did on purpose. But if you were watching on TV, they zoomed in on Parker Meadows laying on the ground. He had a stream of blood coming out of his mouth already, immediately. So it looked like he was fucking dead. I'm kind of glad I didn't see that live because that was a terrifying look. Apparently he bit through his lip or bit the inside of his mouth, and that's why he was bleeding so much. But of course, he ended up with a concussion. But the worst part is he broke one of the bones in his lower arm, of course, due to the worst fucking injury luck. So he's out. They just put him on the 60-day IL. But you kind of got to wonder. He was doing okay offensively. He had a really rough spring, but they brought him up with the big club for opening day. He's a great center fielder, but we also have Javi Baez to replace him in center field, which is kind of amazing. The story emerged last year when he was needed. Javi Baez, as great as he is as a shortstop, he might be a better center fielder And he was pushed into that role by necessity last year, and he relishes it. He said last year, I remember him saying, he's like, people asked him what position would he rather play, and he's like, I love center field. I would love to do this. So he's having a blast. So the Tigers were, if anyone was going to get hurt, it would be Parker Meadows, because they can replace him in center field with Javi and just have the top prospect in baseball and a very solid shortstop in Kevin McGonigle to replace Javi at short. So that at least is a fairly positive. But and of course the Tigers' number 2 prospect is still in AAA now, Max Clark, center field prospect. So they're covered there at least. But it's just a bummer for Parker Meadows as just weird things continue to happen to him. And he really had one good half of a season. I think it was end of 2024, and just never been able to put it together again. I was predicting, I think 2 years ago, I was predicting him to be, I think rookie of the year. He's going to be I think he was still eligible for rookie of the year. That clearly has never come to fruition. So
thank God they didn't extend him.
Yeah, well, that's the question. Yeah, I mean, you got to pick wisely, and we'll see. We'll see. If signing
we know
McGonigle
Rick Hahn did not.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's all I have.
Oh, thank God.
Come on. That's all I have for my Tigers. I think we should switch to your Milwaukee Brewers.
Well, it was all cupcakes and rainbows last Monday, and now they've won once since then. They were 8-2, and now they are 8-7. Wow. Yikes. Yeah, they basically
I think they have lost 6 in a row.
Yeah, they lost the rest of the week. Yesterday was truly something I've been used to seeing on the South Side the last few years. A blow and save by the closer, Trevor Megill, after the Blue Jays handed the game back to the Brewers last night.
It was dueling blown saves, wasn't it?
Yeah. And in extra innings, the Brewers eventually lost 9-7. Murphy, our extended manager, Pat Murphy, was kind of pissed at the fans last night because Megill got booed as he left the mound after blowing the save. And
I heard that part. I heard him getting booed, but I didn't hear Murphy's comments.
Here, Murphy's press conference. I thought this was worth sharing. These aren't machines out there. These are people, Murphy said during his postgame conference. But the fans booing him after he saved 30 games for this team, a kid that's been through all that, he's been through, and what he did the year before for us to help us win the division. I love people talking. For them to be booing him, that's just not our best fans. That's for sure.
Wow.
So
Murph's got plenty of latitude. The 2-time defending National League Manager of the Year. You've won more games under him in a 2-year span than anyone in Brewers history. So he can say whatever he wants. But that's kind of amazing to go right after the fans like that.
I mean, to me, that is it was reminiscent of good old the soon to be retired number 13 for the White Sox. Ozzie, just take the heat off the team. Bring all the heat to you.
Yeah.
Make some comment to shift the focus. But then later today, a story's come out that he's thinking of removing Megill from the closer roles. So, so I don't know how much.
He admonishes them for booing him and then admits that they're right.
You booed him, but you know what? I may take your advice, and we got to do what's best for the team.
Murph knows how to play the game there. Wow.
But yeah, it has been, I mean, if you look at if anyone's paying attention to the enemy of my enemy standings, it's a real, it's a clusterfuck. I mean,
well, Milwaukee's the only team over 500, but I feel like they don't really feel like a 500 team right now.
No, they do not. They do.
Tigers are well below 500, but they won 5 in a row. So it's just crazy.
Yeah. It's whatever happens over a week is how you feel about your team, basically.
Yeah. Gotta love it.
But speaking of feeling about your team, what would a episode be this year without Eyewash? And wow,
I'm a career graphic designer. I'm obviously obsessed with baseball. So combining graphic design and baseball is my favorite thing. I forced this segment years ago. It was called Aesthetics back in the day. Forced this on you, but you've come to enjoy it, I think, where we talk about the new uniforms, logos, etc. All the eyewash, all the shit that doesn't matter in baseball. But specifically over the last couple of years, we've been just inundated with Nike City Connect uniforms. That trend continued this past week with MLB and Nike barfing up 8 more uniforms for us to choke on. But one included your Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, and the Brewers, it's kind of interesting. I don't know if you felt this way about their version of like the how Nike did their like press on it, but it almost made it feel like it was a movie. Like the actual image, the welcome to the Wisco way looks like.
Oh yeah, the videos they produce are amazing.
Yeah, it looked
and ridiculous, but
it all looks like it was like designed as like the opening title screen of a film.
Oh yeah.
Capturing
people camping out in the lakes and out in the woods, and then a baseball player would just show up in a uniform.
Welcome to the Wisco way, capturing a statewide mindset and the new threads that are uniquely Wisconsin down to the last stitch.
Yeah, this is definitely the Wisco theme. As a huge script Wisco is across the jersey. A W logo. Now they've been Milwaukee forever, so maybe they're trying to expand to represent the whole state. I guess my question is, I've heard the term Wisco before, but I thought it was a derogatory term towards the state of Wisconsin. Like we're usually talking about Wisconsin football or something, University of Wisconsin. I've heard it referred to as Wisco, but I've never heard, I guess I don't know that many Wisconsinites or Wisconsins. Do they refer to themselves as Wisco? Like, is that common? Do you know?
Here's all I can say. I do not know, but this is what I'll say. No one from Chicago says Chi-Town.
Yeah,
it doesn't
exactly.
fucking happen.
It feels like that kind of thing.
Yeah. We don't go.
It's like an outsider's term for that. So
yeah,
that might be a better way to put it. Yeah. This is like somebody that's never been to Wisconsin put together this whole campaign.
Like I use Wisco, to your point, in a negative way.
That's what I always connotated with, but maybe that's just you and me.
I mean, it is an abbreviation, I guess, like a quick way to say to lop off a couple syllables and say Wisco versus Wisconsin.
You're right. I think the best analogy is a Chi-Town. It just is cringy.
Yeah. But
I guess it's better than the other term I've heard, which is definitely derogatory. Scotties. Have you heard that?
That's sort of like townies.
I think it doesn't sound good at all, but so at least they avoided that.
But the best part of this segment is us having a good time reading the explanation of everything.
The verbose descriptions of all the details you don't need to know about these ridiculous jerseys.
Real quick, I'm sure this is somewhere in these ridiculous explanations, but it is like like a cobalt blue, I would say.
Oh, that's a good, cobalt. That might be the way to describe it.
Yeah, it's like
I'm surprised they didn't give it a name.
And across in a script, looking like something a softball team might wear, which we've said a lot about these City Connect jerseys from time to time, is Wisco. And then underneath that is the number. Now, the number has this like gradient outline around it, which I'm going to get to momentarily.
That's a theme with a lot of these new Nike City Connects across the league. Gradients, which just reeks of 1990, like to me. Which is, I mean, maybe that's what the cool kids are into again. Retro is cool, but gradients, as a designer at least, my entire career I've avoided gradients in the past because I think they look so tacky.
Yeah, they're not good.
And they're hard for. I came up through print production and stuff, and they're hard to reproduce properly. And maybe they were back in the day when I was deep in the trenches in print production, but maybe it's not so much anymore. But I've just always avoided them. I think they look terrible. These aren't awful the way Wisco employed them, but others that we might talk about are not so good.
Yeah. So let's get started because there's a lot here. We've got
We're just getting started.
Base blue. This is how this starts. So the blue we were just talking about, which I thought is like kind of a cobalt looking blue,
I think it's good.
The endless shorelines, lakes, and rivers influence our lifestyle. Whether it's kayaking the Milwaukee River, casting a line in the Eagle River, or drilling through the ice on Lake Mendota, a body of water is never still here. Wow.
I think this could all certainly apply to the Great Lakes state of Michigan, where I'm from and currently reside. This could apply to Minnesota.
Minnesota, eh?
This could apply to a lot of different places.
Chi-Town? We have a lake?
Yeah.
And a fountain.
I'm not so sure how unique this is to Wisconsin, but whatever.
They neglected to say the body of water is never still here, including dropping a turd in a toilet.
Oh my God.
Anyway. Accent cream, which is my favorite kind of cream, an accent cream.
Yeah.
The cream accent color recalls the sandy shores of the inland lakes.
Yeah.
Again, could be applied to most of the Great Lakes area. Beaches of Door County on Lake Michigan and the state's iconic sandstone bluffs.
Okay, this is interesting because I think it's a different cream they're talking about, but actually the Brewers, Milwaukee is nicknamed the Cream City because of, I think it's architecture. It's like what their buildings are made of. There's a lot of sandstone buildings, I think. So yeah, I think that kind of makes sense, but yeah, it's getting out there.
All right, here you go. The moment you've been waiting for. We hinted at it. Sunset gradient. Oranges, yellows, and blues make for a gradient as picturesque as a Wisconsin sunset.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because Wisconsin's known for their sunsets.
Yeah, I guess so. I had no idea, but I
think their sunrises would be more impressive as it comes over Lake Michigan. I mean, I know Michigan sunsets over Lake Michigan are unbelievable, but I guess whatever.
All right, typography. Let's get into something you love, typography.
I love some typography.
Script font pays, and this is referencing the Wisco across the front. Script
and
font
the W on the hat.
Oh, the W on the hat too, right? Which looks a lot like the Washington Nationals, but I digress.
Yeah.
Script font pays homage to the American Association Milwaukee Brewers Baseball, club of the early 20th century. Melded with classic aesthetics of Wisconsin supper clubs and brewery label art.
Supper clubs. I mean, they are known for the supper clubs. I don't see how this is tying into any supper club. Whatever. Have you been to a supper club? That's kind of a weird.
I have been to a supper club in Milwaukee.
Oh, okay.
Well, just outside of Milwaukee, actually. It was pretty fun, actually. A lot of drinking was done that night.
Yeah, they know how to drink. That's not an issue. Hence the Brewers.
Everyone's favorite part of this jersey, the bobber icon.
Yeah, I saw that and had an immediate thought, and they addressed that thought immediately.
Tying our state's rich fishing culture, this new mark is a reinvention of the grill patch from the first City Connect.
Yeah. It looked. I immediately saw that grill patch, which was arguably
that was great.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Like, you already had the best City Connect uniforms. The Brew Crew they did last year, the year before, whenever that was, the powder blues. They had so many cool little logos. It's just like, why do we need a second one? Just stick with that. It was
MKE
perfect.
hat. It bangs. The MKE hat is awesome.
It was like a perfect extension of their current brand. It just kind of built on what they've already established, and just gave it a different look, but it was great. And that's the first thing I thought I saw was that grill, the baseball grill they had. I'm like, well, they just repurposed that, but they admitted it in the description at least to turn it into a fishing bobber, it's fucking cool, I guess.
I'll just finish this for the sake of being completist. A bobber and a baseball perfectly afloat.
Okay.
Showcases Wisconsin's other favorite pastime, fishing. In case you guys didn't get that.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Wheat braid, a nod to the farming industry that powers our state and our namesake brewing industry.
Okay. Yeah, we've seen that. They have like wheat patterns.
Yeah, they've had the wheat logo through their career and stuff. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Sleeve patch, a reimagining of Barrel Man inspired by American Association's Milwaukee Brewers, sits above the Wisconsin state outline, showcasing Brewers fandom across every county in the state.
Yeah, that logo. Versions of that logo have been around forever, and they've re-embraced those. Those are in the current logo package. When Milwaukee rebranded 6 or 7 years ago, whenever that was, it's kind of a goofy, like making a person out of a keg.
Out of a keg, yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of like it actually.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's a fun little patch.
Hold on, just a second. Callahan's here.
Oh.
What's going on?
Hey, oh! Hey, how's the Ozempic going?
You can't hear anything.
Hey, you look like a fucking genie. Are you in the Aladdin 2 or what?
He can't hear
you. All right.
Yeah. Well,
hey, after
see if we cut that out or not. We might just
we might leave it in. And last but not least, or maybe least, forward. Our state motto is a commitment to progress, innovation, and heritage, probably displayed on our collars. Again, for no one to see.
Yeah, but we're going forward. I mean, if that's their state motto, they probably need to work on their state motto. But that reminds me of like such shit you'd see in like a soccer crest or a soccer uniform explanation. Forward.
Yeah.
That's whatever.
I don't know. I mean, I think some of it's good. I think some of it's bad. I'm kind of split. I think it's unnecessary. I think the White Sox 2.0s are unnecessary. When you get it right the first time.
That's the thing. They were perfect. It's another example. The Southside, White Sox Southside City Connects were perfect. They didn't need another version. I think that's the perfect analogy. Sox never needed a 2.0. Brewers didn't need a 2.0. They already knocked it out of the park. What are we doing?
Both of my teams were fine. Who needs a 2.0 is Detroit.
Now, did they get rid? Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Did the Sox get rid of 1.0, the South Side?
I believe so.
Do they have those in addition to the new
I don't know.
Bulls, red and black?
I think it might be gone.
I mean, that's just foolish. They can bring them back if they decide to, but
yeah, I haven't seen it. So
well, that was one of 8 new City Connect 2.0 uniforms that came out, I think, on the same day last week.
Yeah.
All of them are, I would call them all extremely mediocre, or as the kids might say, mid. Not worthy. We don't have fucking time. They didn't release them all at once like this before. We had time to actually break down each one as they went along in the last couple of years. But these are so boring. I don't feel like we need to break each down. I've got some general thoughts maybe about each of them, but
yeah, I mean, San Diego has one.
That I didn't understand. It looked like they use the same typeface as they did on their 1.0, kind of a surf skate font, but it's just different colors.
Yeah, it's very plain and boring.
Yeah.
As is the Pirates.
Pirates is a new font, but it's, yellow and black. It's an angry kind of a death metal font that they're using for the Pirates. It doesn't look that, I think their other ones probably said Pit. No, they didn't. They said PGH, I think it was, which it was kind of an odd look. But they were gold, which I thought was at least interesting. They didn't have a gold jersey before that. So
one of the more interesting one is the Baltimore jersey, which has the letter B and more. So it's B more. But I don't know. Every time I looked at it, when I looked at it quickly, the first time I thought it said s'more.
Yeah, it needs the apostrophe.
S'mores.
Yeah. Of course, neither of us live in the Atlantic coast. I've never heard Baltimore referred to as B-more. Have you?
No, I have not.
That just sounds lame to me. But they also changed. They're also using like a green color for some reason.
On the sleeve. Yeah,
there's probably an explanation of that, like a historic thing, but I'm unaware. I think the font they use for the B-more is extremely boring.
Yes.
So yeah, mid. What else we got?
Atlanta looks just like a throwback to an old Atlanta jersey.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen this before. Yeah, they've got powder blues with a lowercase a, red, white, and blue. It just looks like something from the 60s, which is cool.
But yeah, I
feel like I've seen it.
Yeah, exactly. Reds are...
Didn't they do this exact same jersey? I think they did the same thing.
The wavy C.
Yeah, that's all. They used the same logos they came up with 1.0 and just, I think they reversed the colors. I think it was a black jersey with red logos. Now it's a red jersey with black logos.
Right.
Okay.
The Royals did another tribute to the Fountains, but somehow just really made it way worse than their original jerseys.
Yeah, this is like a reverse
All gradients
version
too.
Yeah, I think they did like a blue jersey with these fountain logos all over it, which they're famous for fountains, which I guess you'd make sense because you always saw a fountain in the center field at Kauffman Park. But basically they reversed that, but then they added that like a purple gradient.
Yeah.
Like,
and
there,
this like,
again, my thoughts about gradients, but it doesn't look like a Royals uniform. It looks lazy.
Yeah, it's awful.
And you saw in the flesh on Sox opening day. Is that what you were saying?
No. They were wearing.
Oh, you were just watching
a game this weekend. They wore them all weekend.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, and then finally, I feel like they just had their 1.0, but the Rangers have the Tejas jerseys, which look just like a Rangers jersey with just Tejas across the front.
I think it looks like a Texas University. It looks like a college jersey. I mean, if it was burnt orange, it would be Texas Longhorns.
Maybe that's what it is then. Yeah.
At least they didn't go with Tejas.
Yes, I was hoping.
Which was a hat they released accidentally. That was last year. That was immediately removed because it is a Spanish word for tits, I think. Titas. So yeah, they went with Tejas. But yeah, I immediately thought of Texas Longhorns when I saw that. It's just a block font, really simple.
Yeah.
It's unnecessary.
Again, on all of these, I just go, why?
Yeah.
Other than money.
Well, they started releasing the 2.0s last year as the White Sox got one. They did 8 this past week. I'm guessing every team that did a 1.0 is going to get a 2.0, which means there's some hope that they'll do a decent job with Detroit's for once at least, because 1.0 I think is garbage. I meant to mention I was at the Tigers game last Saturday, and I did see a few Motor City Connect uniforms, but there are very few. But there were definitely younger kids wearing them. But so yeah, hopefully something cooler comes out. Although the Tigers just released, we already talked about their orange home alternate jerseys and their navy roads, which look fucking great, and of course the new. It's actually a retro hat. They've had this back in the 90s, but the new hat with the orange brim that I'm currently wearing. But I digress into more Tiger talk after the Tiger segment is over.
No,
did you have anything else to add with your Brewers or with Nike City Connects?
We can move on to the other NL Central team we cover.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we've got to talk about my Chicago Cubs, who did win last night. They had
another come from behind win after they barely survived Pittsburgh.
Yeah, well, yeah, they lost that series to Pittsburgh at home, but they scored. There was an offensive outburst of 10 runs last night, kind of out of nowhere. So that makes you feel a little bit better. They did score 7 runs the night before in Philadelphia, but they gave up 13. I think it was the final 13-7. So yeah, the Cubs offense is a major issue. I just looked it up today. They've got 3 hitters that have an OPS over 700. Just 3. Everyone else is well below the base. 750 is kind of the average, what you're looking for an OPS. And
yeah, that gets you 100. I think 750 gets you 100 OPS plus, which is league average.
Right on the average then. One player that has been in the news, who we talked about last week specifically, PCA, is not one of those above the 750 line. In fact, his OPS is a ridiculous 558. OPS plus 64, which means he is 36 points below average. It's pretty much a disaster coming on the heels of his major extension, which you had major questions about. And at least in this first 2 weeks since we talked about it, your dire predictions are coming true. It's a little scary, of course, because you were talking about this is not new. This is a trend that the whole second half of last year looked like. I think you were also questioning his character.
Yeah, and I continue to question his character because I think he's always believed his own hype, and you can only go so far with that, which is
possible.
Hence, a lot of the White Sox players' problems that happen that we've talked about. I'm not saying he's gonna. That doesn't mean that he won't wake up and come out of it. But You know, that's
It
just
looks
my
bad
opinion
right
of him.
now.
But it looks bad right now, but it's early. So
He's got a .5 WAR still with his 4 stolen bases. He does have 1 home run at least. I think he's only got like 1 double. But his defense,
and his defense, yeah,
he's always going to be a top 5 center fielder, if not the best. So it's just a little scary when you talk about, think about last year, the second half of last year, and what's happening now. Did the league figure him out after an incredible first half last year? Is he just always going to swing at bad pitches? He swings, I forget the exact stats they mentioned on the radio yesterday. It's like 50%. He swings at 50% of all balls thrown out of the zone, or something ridiculous like that. So you could just not throw him a strike, and he'll end up striking himself out. He had a couple of hits last night, kind of bleeder hits. So maybe that'll help turn things around. But other Cubs news, of course, we talked last show about the ominous news with Cade Horton, and you and I came to the conclusion he was most likely going to have elbow surgery, which is, of course, what has happened. Season-ending elbow surgery after he complained of wrist pain and then tight forearm, and those are just harbingers of bad things. And, of course, he's now having surgery. I don't know if he's had the surgery or if he's scheduled to have it or how that works. But he's out for the entire season. I don't believe it's Tommy John that he's having, so it's not necessarily an 18-month recovery. It might be closer to a 12-month recovery. Of course, you never know, but it's his second Tommy John, or second elbow surgery at least. So you worry about that a little bit, but not great. I guess on the positive side, Seiya Suzuki came back, but he's only been back for a couple games and hasn't done a whole lot. Winning last night was a big deal. They needed to put something together after losing a home series to the Pittsburgh Pirates, who I think are in first place in the NL Central.
They are. They're all tied, right? It's all like
it's
6
so
or something.
tight.
Yeah.
Well, I forget it, but I think I forget how the National League. I know the American League. Like everyone in the league has 7 losses 2 weeks into the season. Like no one has less than 7 losses. I think there's only 2 teams that have less than 7 losses in the National League. Padres and Dodgers, of course. So like everybody's just fighting for 500. It seems like so, and the enemy ball standings are not any different. Yeah, I think the Cubs are in last place, Brewers are in 4th place, and then everybody else is fighting for top spot in the NL Central.
Yeah, just to close the book on the Pete Crow-Armstrong, his offensive WAR is 0. So
that's not bad. I thought it'd be negative.
Yeah, I did too, actually. I thought it'd be at least -0.1 or something.
Yeah, you turned that into a positive. Thank you. I appreciate
0.
that.
So it's all defense is why he's got a .5 WAR.
And running. Don't forget running. Base running is very key. Fundamental.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
That's all I've got for this episode 184. Unless you had anything else you wanted to add. Any shit Pete forgot?
No, not this week.
All right. Well, I think with that, we'll wrap up this episode. You can find us on the web at enemyball.com. You can find us on social media at enemyball. You can find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/enemyball. And you can find this podcast anywhere you'd like to find a podcast. So with that, I'm going to declare this podcast is over. Peace.
Post-game show is brought to you by Christ, I can't find it. The hell with it.
One guy poured beer all over my head. The guy said, how can you take that? I said, look, that man didn't do nothing. He poured some beer on my head. He's just showing he's a White Sox fan. There ain't nothing wrong with that.
Sparky, a million thanks for, as always, the most interesting interview. And now today, let's just have a lot of thrilling baseball and not so many fisticuffs.
We're at home